Hello everyone. We are at the Magellan Strait in Chile and Patagonia. There is a huge duty-free zone near the city where goods are cheap and the produce is fresh. Unfortunately, at this time of the year, 40 to 60 knot winds are also not uncommon, and the active runway here at Punta Arenas suffered a little incident, so I have to wait until it's sorted out so I can get out of here. Until then, let's talk about user experience for the last time. So it's official, I give up on career mode. I waited until Sim Update 1 to see if it gets any better, but the improvements are minor compared to the number and severity of the issues, and given that many of them should be an easy fix, it does not bode well for the future. Doing a proofreading round on the color text, fixing the variables to display actual times, stats or company names shouldn't require a team of engineers. Other changes of course are welcome. The 408 is flyable, for example, although they still couldn't fix the aircraft icon on the G1000. It's a good thing that the game is more stable and some bugs are fixed. The ridiculous turbulence is gone, for example, but given the rate at which these fixes get pushed through and the number of serious issues still remaining, I doubt that my career mode drives could get fixed in 2025. The lack of user-generated content is another concern, and it's still ironic that somebody managed to fix the PC-12 pressurization issue with a 42 kilobyte config file, which makes me wonder why couldn't the developers do this. It was already a bit odd in MSFS 2020 that many GA planes had community performance and realism modes based on real-world stats, which begs the question why couldn't the developers do this in the first place. But more importantly, MSFS 2024 shouldn't even have these issues, and now there isn't even a way for the community to solve them. What we do know is that it won't happen in MSFS 2024 anytime soon until Asobo figures out how to do what they did in 2020 and have the planes downloaded onto your hard drives. It's also weird that they won't at least share paint kits for delivery makers when some third-party developers freely share theirs. But back to the career mode, and this time I'll try to keep it short and constructive. If you're interested in airliner flying, good luck with the choice of the 737 and basically nothing else. You can earn ridiculous amount of credits, but you'll spend it on maintenance anyway. If you're interested in GA flying, you're still faced with plenty of frustrations. The medium cargo missions still take you from tiny obscure strips with numbers in their codes to other tiny obscure strips with numbers in their codes. I can't tell you how frustrating it is to spend most of my time on a world map digging up info that the game doesn't provide at first glance, just to find out that, for example, the 408 is not usable for most of them. Speaking of which, they fixed it so at least in the transfer aircraft option you cannot move the Sky Courier to a strip that is too small for it, but you can still transfer it anyway if you accept the mission and select it from the next screen. Even if you manage to find a mission where the 408 can handle the airstrips, the cargo is only 30 to 50% of its capacity, and the Caravan is still penalized in favor of the PC-12 and the 408. It has improved somewhat, but not enough that would make a measurable difference. The very limited cargo options were already tedious. The distance and payload is ridiculously predictable, and the missions still avoid big cities or busier airports. If they can write code that can calculate missions between tiny strips, I'm sure they can code feeder missions for both cargo and passengers. Speaking of passengers, the Vision Jet can't be selected for longer distances and VIP missions when it could easily handle the tasks. I bought a PC-12 just out of curiosity, and suddenly most of the private charter missions disappeared worldwide. I have one PC-12 near Vegas, but still 80% of the charter missions are VIP now, even in Europe. So my other 29 charter planes are basically collecting dust and only good for the passive income. In the end, I had to sell my PC-12 if I wanted to fly the Vision Jet to the same 3 airports around the Alps. And nobody in Spain or Portugal can afford a charter flight, it seems. It's the same story in the US. There are no jobs in the greater Los Angeles area or any of the big cities I managed to manually unlock by moving my pilot there. There are on average 3 private missions available on the East Coast, and that's about it. By the way, it's Cirrus Vision Jet, not Microsoft Vision Jet. Sorting out the naming conventions should not be an issue. Australia and Chile is also quite sparse when it comes to anything but cargo, and no mission wants to take me to bigger cities. It's the same story in the Bahamas. I suspect I would have to manually travel to Miami with my pilot to unlock that area, which is not ideal, I guess, but it's just a bit underwhelming way of exploring the map. It still doesn't make sense that charter flights don't exist near popular destinations and that the Caravan is not available for passenger missions. What exactly is the logic behind limiting certain aircraft to certain mission types? I spend a lot of time on the world map trying to find a mission that I can take with the plane I want to fly it with, which is the definition of a bad user experience. These missions are providing a false sense of variety and often feel the same, while building frustration even before a mission starts. The color text is still awful and the AI voices are atrocious. A proofreading round would already help a lot, and getting rid of the cringeworthy dialogue and replacing it with a wider variety of color text should require little coding and little effort. I swear to God, if I have to hear the misplaced Indiana Jones reference and the just simply lame Lord of the Rings reference one more time, I'm gonna land at the next intersection and just throw my passengers out. Third-party developers using AI voices have a much better result with the technology, so what's the excuse with the resources Asobo and Microsoft have? I know they are cheaper than voice actors who join translators in the Extinction database. Lack of effort seems to be the key with the whole career mode though. I really try to be charitable with this game, but it's very hard when the mission design is clunky, the text is cheesy and lacks variety, and overall, lazy is the best word that can describe it. The next Steam update is coming at the end of April, so until then I would be stuck with this soulless grind, which is just not an acceptable option. The game would be out for 6 months by that time, and it should be in a much better shape. As for the future, multiplayer in career mode is not even discussed. Shared cockpit is also over the horizon, which is just absurd, especially since third-party options are nuked with the cloud service. This might have been an unintended consequence, but the alternatives are disappointing and not ready. The best thing in MSFS 2020 was by far the multiplayer group flights, even if we had to use third-party software to fix the modal matching, which seems to be an unsolvable issue for the developers. No matter how beautiful MSFS 2024 is, the group flights are still immersion breaking with the visibility and modal matching issues. One of the main selling points for MSFS 2024 was that the users wouldn't have to use third-party tools like live traffic injectors, flight planning and so on, but so far the only thing that somewhat works is the EFB and flight planning. Sure, some people will wait patiently and might enjoy the game regardless, and I am probably one of them, but this whole experience did leave a sour taste in my mouth. So there you have it, I'm putting myself out of my misery and deleting my career. I think I will probably give Neofly or On Air Company a try. Those at least give me choices, have proper progression systems, and I can share it with my friends if I want to fly with them. But since the third-party options are a bit on the complex side, here are a few suggestions how to make this career mode usable while remaining accessible for the casual fans. The experience point system has clearly no value and function, so let's drop it and use flight hours as a metric of progression. Maintenance costs should be sensible. Even though it seems like they are fine-tuning it, the problems seem to be deeper than just tweaking the numbers. Money or XP systems need to be meaningful, not thrown around in the millions, and bonuses should be awarded for relevant challenges. Bad weather bonus should apply only to actual bad weather, while faster delivery or being on schedule should be rewarded. The light, medium, heavy categories or private VIP categories need to make sense and clearly separated and marked as such. Aircraft choices should be sensible and add actual variety. Aircraft management needs to be much more user-friendly. Although an auto-maintenance function would be convenient, it would probably kill the whole wear and tear system that they build. So if they don't want to get rid of it, maintaining a fleet of hundreds of aircraft should be clearly arranged, marked with icons, and should require the minimum amount of clicks possible. Screen economy needs to be vastly improved, requiring less pages, less clicks, presenting the information concisely, and show actually relevant stats. Right now, even the irrelevant stats are not working, so it wouldn't be a great loss, but they need to get rid of the wasteful empty spaces. Forget flight time, for example, it's widely inaccurate. Flight distance, accurate payload data, runway info, these are the bare minimums. Aircraft stats should also be relevant. Persistent and non-repeating tail numbers, location, flight hours, profits, maintenance status should be displayed. If they gamify a flight simulator, providing relevant info at a glance is such a basic concept that it is unbelievable that these things need to be said at all. But let's go a step further than what can be fixed in the current game mode and imagine how career mode can be improved beyond mere fixes of the current design. If map discovery is part of the experience, it needs to be meaningful. Dividing the map into regions and purchasing recurring subsidies within regions and based on mission types adds a structure and progression to the game. The user can choose not to buy certain rights in any given region and decide to only buy certain rights for others. Certain mission types could only be made available in an actual freelancer mode, not as an owner/manager of a big company. This way the company freelancer modes could have meaningful differences and the pros and cons that come with them. For example, managing an airline seems to be more like a spreadsheet crunching and deal-making enterprise, not something a pilot would want to do. Airlines, search and rescue, and firefighting could be their own category. Headquarters should affect the game economy. A main HQ and regional branch offices could offer perks like bigger profits, cheaper rent or maintenance at the given locations. Customization should be implemented both in terms of livery and other cosmetics like decorating the HQ or even as scenery add-ons. Even though there is little probability that these would ever be implemented, it's still something to dream about. This would be a good alternative to the third-party options for those who don't want to deal with the complexities. So there you have it. This is the last video I'm planning to make on career mode, and now we should return to the regularly scheduled programming. Well, things are not improving around here, so I guess I just have to try and get out of here before it gets dark. I still don't have my night flight raging. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Alright, let's see. This should be interesting. Yeah, so far so good. Not that bad. Flaps down. Okay. Overhead. Just a little right aileron. Left rudder. Right rudder. I can still save this. More rudder. Aileron.